This is Jonathan Agatha here for Pro Boxing Fans. We're here at Madison Square Garden ahead of a huge undisputed lightweight title clash between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano this Saturday. I'm joined by Matchroom CEO Frank Smith. Frank, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, mate. Great to be here in New York, Madison Square Garden. It doesn't get much better than this, does it? You know, a huge fight on Saturday. It's been a long time coming, and glad it's finally here, or almost here, just a couple of days away.
When Katie Taylor first walked in the office, however many years ago, was this always the aim? Did you ever think this was going to happen, where two females headlining Madison Square Garden main room?
Look, it's obviously, I've got to be honest, it's even sort of gone beyond my expectations. Even when we first made this fight, I knew it was big, but it's really been picked up by the mainstream, and it's great for the sport. Great for the sport of boxing. It's transcended it, and it's one of those events you don't get very often in the sport. And many years ago, did I necessarily think we'd end up at Madison Square Garden? Probably not. We tried to make this fight on numerous occasions, and we made it on numerous occasions, and it didn't happen. And really, when you think about it now, it's lucky it didn't happen, because I don't think it would have been big enough then, really, and it would have been built as big as it has been this time. So I'm glad that really over the last couple of years it hasn't happened, and now's the right time for it.
What have you made of Jake Paul's role in this build-up so far?
He's good entertainment, good value, isn't he? But he wants to help grow the sport and give the fighters opportunities. So that's good. That's good for the sport. So you can't take anything away from him on that. Certain people are going to dislike him, aren't going to like his boxing career. But I think what he's doing on this side of the sport is brilliant for the sport. And I don't think you can argue it.
Now, some people have suggested that Katie Taylor may just be past her prime based on previous performances. What do you say to that?
I think Katie Taylor needs a fight where she's really up for it, and I think that's what this fight is. I think maybe she struggled to get up for some of the recent fights, in all honesty, and this is a fight she's wanted for a long time. And I think now, you see her, she's so dedicated to the sport, so dedicated. She's constantly in the gym, constantly training, and she's been around for years. We all know that, and what she's done to get the sport to this point. This is her moment now. This is where she always thought she'd get to. I think she's going to go in there and show you the Katie Taylor maybe of old that maybe we haven't seen in some of the previous fights, mate. Because this is the one she's been waiting for.
When you look at the other massive undisputed fight, Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields, how do you compare the two fights? Obviously, you've worked with both of them as well.
Yeah, I actually made a comment about this, and it probably didn't come across in the right way, where I said Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields is a great fight. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not on the same level of this. You only have to look at the turnout we've had. We lighting up the Empire State Building, the press that turned up on Tuesday, the press at the workout yesterday, here today in the theatre. We've done a load of shows in the theatre. We're doing the press conference in here today. The weigh-in tomorrow. Tickets are flying. So this is I think this is different. This is really taking it to a different audience. The pickup that we've had from the media landscape over the last few months has been, unrivaled. Even for a lot of shows we've done, and we've been involved in some mega nights. So that's a great fight, and it's great for the sport that fight's happening. I don't think you can necessarily compare it to this.
What are the chances, if this is a brilliant fight, we see this again?
Yeah, I think definitely. If it's a great fight and people want to see it again, you can't say no to that. There's also Katie Taylor's really been in there against most of the fighters that you could put her in against now. There's other fighters coming through, obviously, but I think this is if this fight plays out the way we believe it will, it's definitely an opportunity to do it again. But there's other names as well that Katie's interested in. So first things first, let's get Saturday up and running. Hopefully a good night.
Obviously, you'll be backing Katie to win. How'd she do it?
Yeah, she looks in great shape. She's very focused as well. She always is focused. Boxing means everything to her. So she's, you've seen her the last few days, and she's ready to go. She's been training hard for this. I think had one of the best camps she's ever had. Great sparring in, and I think she's ready to go.
Eddie's been saying that he believes this ends in a stoppage. Do you agree?
I think it can do, yeah. I think it can do. I think Katie Taylor's got the power to do that. But it's not going to be an easy fight at all. Amanda Serrano's 7-time world champion. This is pound for pound number 1, number 2, and they're going in against each other. So, I think it's going to be... We saw a war here when Katie Taylor fought Delphine Persoon the first time, and I think we'll see something similar again.
Now, mentioned obviously Jake Paul at the start of this. How have you found working with MVP as a whole? And, co-promotions don't happen that often, so why has this one worked better than others?
I think because we're probably two groups of people and companies who aren't really soured by the sport of boxing. And Jake Paul, his team, Nikisa as well. They're good to deal with, and ultimately it's about growing the event and building the sport for these guys. It's not about personal, maybe, I'm trying to think of the word, or hate, really. That there's a lot of hate in boxing, and people don't want to see other people do well, and things don't happen often because they don't like the other side. But it's not about us, it's not about like any other promoter, it's about making the best fights for your fighters. And that's what's been great about working with MVP, Jake Paul, is they're just here to build the sport and build the fighters. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Frank, let's talk about Saturday night. Tyson Fury stopping Dillian Whyte. What did you make of the fight?
I actually thought it was a bit of a boring fight, if I'm honest, watching at home. In the venue it's always different because you've got 94,000 people in there, there's an energy in there. But at home I thought it was a bit boring. Look, Tyson Fury did what he always does. He always finds a way against every person to go in there and get the win, and you can't doubt he's the number one heavyweight. Great start, great finish by him. I don't think Dillian Whyte should really, people saying he's at the end for Dillian Whyte, but I think he's still got more to offer. Tyson Fury undoubtedly right now, like I say, is the number one heavyweight in the world. That can change over time, but I still think there's some massive fights for Dillian Whyte. But it was a good win, good night.
We saw obviously Dillian, as a fighter, he was disappointed with the result. He wants a rematch. Frank Warren said it's not going to happen, but when he said sort of the push affected him and he should have been given more time, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say what affected it. Like he got caught with a big shot. The push was strange. Like the fact you don't often see that. It was proper two hands thrown down. But would that have made a difference? I don't know. In the sport of boxing, you're not supposed to push someone over. But was he already out from the uppercut? You could argue either way. But like I say, Dillian's. I don't think watching it wasn't like that. To me, it wasn't the most entertaining of fights, and maybe that's because Tyson Fury didn't allow Dillian Whyte to do what he normally does, or maybe it's because both of them just didn't get. There was no moments in that fight where you really thought this is great before that sixth round. But I think ultimately Dillian Whyte, like people saying now, you said Dillian Whyte was going to knock him out, but ultimately that's heavyweight boxing. They can all go in there on their best night and knock each other out. That's why everyone loves heavyweight boxing. That's why it will always be there. Tyson Fury can be vulnerable. He's been vulnerable in the past and he's got back up. So that's what makes it exciting. But going back to your point around the push, do I think it made a huge difference? Me personally, no.
Tyson Fury, his key wins are looking like Vladimir Klitschko, Deontay Wilder twice, and now Dillian Whyte. I've seen some people in the last few days say that his resume is better than that of Anthony Joshua's. What do you think? I
don't think so. I think you only have to look at Anthony Joshua. He's been in there against the best time and time again. He's never shied away from a challenge. He's had losses because he's fought the best. And Andy Ruiz, that loss, he came back and he avenged it straight afterwards. Many people didn't think he'd be able to do that. Many people wrote him off at that point. People are writing him off now. It's not. Nothing's changed there. It's always the same. People always have that. I think there's a big thing in British sort of psychology of they like to see people fail. And I don't really understand it. Shouldn't we all just go, this is great? Like, well, fair play to Tyson Fury. Well done. Look what he's done. But yeah, I think Anthony Joshua, what he's done for the sport, B, what he's built, and then giving opportunities to other fighters, because he's been a huge part of that ever since the Olympics. And in terms of his resume, I don't think you can. I think AJ's got a better resume than Tyson Fury.
Tyson said, numerous times now that that's it, he's done, retirement. Do you believe him?
Tyson says a lot of things, doesn't he? Depends what day of the week it is. I believe him for the right fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I believe, unless it's AJ, I think he'll retire. So unless his next fight is AJ, I can see him retiring.
And how easy do you think? I mean, we're looking way ahead. You haven't even announced the Usyk rematch yet. But say Joshua came through that fight, and you want to make the Tyson Fury fight. How easy or difficult is that fight to revisit? I mean, there's been talk of purse splits and his side wanting it in favour of him. But you know, if you had to say right now, do you think it'd be easy to make or quite difficult?
I think it would be easy to make. Should be easy. I don't think it will be easy. Now to talk about purse split, like you say, AJ's got fully focused on the Usyk rematch. You've got to get in there and do the job against him. After that, you know, I think it's a mega fight, isn't it? It's a massive fight. AJ going back in there and he gets his belts back against Usyk. Fury, you know, it's huge. So let's worry about that down the road, not today.
Final one, you'll be in Vegas next week for Canelo-Bivol. As this fight's approaching, what are you gauging from, you know, what people are saying about this fight? Do you think people are underestimating Bivol? Do you think Canelo's a clear favourite?
I don't think people are underestimating Bivol, especially people who really know boxing. I think they know what he can bring, and I think Bivol's another one of those where he needs those big nights. He's wanted the Canelo fight for a long time. You know, we were trying to make it about a year before the Bivol fight, I think. And it didn't come off in the end, and he's been waiting for this for a long time. You know, we've seen what Canelo does. Canelo always goes in there, and you know, did it against Kovalev, didn't he? When he went up to 175, that stoppage later on in that fight. So we all know Canelo's strengths, but I think Bivol's going to be a tough test, and then, you know, got to get through that, and then let's see the Golovkin fight later in the year. But first things first, Dmitry Bivol, and it's not going to be an easy ask. Dmitry's in the best shape. You know, I spoke to the guys yesterday. We worked with Dmitry for a long time. He's training very hard, and this is his opportunity because he's, and like I say, waited for it for a long time.
All right, Frank Smith, thanks for talking to Pro Boxing Fans. Any tickets still left for Saturday night?
Yeah, last few tickets just available at the box office. Not many left. It's going to be a sellout.
Frank Smith, appreciate it.